Morning, Khai. How's it going?
Morning, Kelvin. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for joining. So yeah, we've just started this part of the track along Wolli Creek, the regional park, and we're actually super lucky on the weather because yeah, it's been raining the last couple of days, and I thought it'd sort of like postpone us, or maybe the conditions wouldn't be great to jump
Yeah.
on, but it's
We're
beautiful.
lucky. Look, the grounds are still wet, but it is not raining. I was prepared to walk in the rain, but it was storming yesterday. It was crazy weather for a period of time. So look, I'm glad we're making this happen. Get to have a good chat
Nice.
on a walk I've never been on.
Cool. No, and I appreciate the commitment and dedication to do it in any condition. So
Got to get out, man. We can't stay at home forever. Now that we've got kids, I'm probably home more than I used to be. So it's an adjustment.
well, let's jump in on that. Give me some of the family life info. Dad to how many kids?
Yeah.
How old? How's that all going?
Look, I've got two boys. You've got two boys too, so
we
you
can
know
play
already.
off.
Yeah, I've got two boys. One is turning 7 this year, and one is turning 3 in a couple of months.
Yeah.
So we've got about a 4-year age gap.
Yeah.
But yeah, two crazy boys. Just me and my wife and them. We're lucky. We're surrounded by family in the area. So we're living near Bankstown,
Yep.
and we chose to stay near there because we wanted to be accessible to both sides of the family.
That's cool. But yes, I can totally relate. My boy just turned 8 and the young one's 3.
Okay, a similar
And
age
yeah,
gap.
2 brothers.
Yeah,
It's great, like they all get along, but like there's a lot of, general fights and wrestles, and someone
Yeah.
sort of starting something with, the other. So
But
there's
what's-
not much
what's-
peace in the house.
yeah. But what was your dynamic like? Do you have brothers or sisters?
I've got an older brother.
Okay, so you understand the dynamic then. It's just for me it's the same. I have an older brother too, so and I have to be careful of my bias of the younger brother. Having only experienced being a younger brother myself,
Yeah.
so I'm always conscious of that. But yeah, they get along. Teddy, that's his English name. His Vietnamese name is Hill. That's the
Nice.
young one, and then the older one is Frankie. Vietnamese name is Dai. And at home I only call him by the Viet name, so that's why I'm giving the context of both,
Yeah.
because I don't often speak about them in their English name.
Yes.
It feels like a different character to me, but I know it's part of who they are.
Yeah, gotcha.
But yeah, he dropped him off at school today, got along, gave him multiple hugs, really, they play
Nice.
with each other every day, and yeah, it's an awesome relationship when you see that.
That's it. No, I love that. With the names, is there meanings with the Vietnamese name?
Yeah, there is. So Dai, our oldest one, Frankie,
Yeah.
Dai means gifted or talented.
Nice.
And so that's the name that came to our head. My mum had a few other names that went with it, because with Viet names there's like multiple names.
Yes.
They sort of like blend in.
Yes.
And with the young one, his name is Hill, which means dutiful. So we're hopefully he's dutiful to us as we get older.
Yeah.
A bit of aspirational there with the two of them. And we didn't know that we were going to have 2 boys obviously when we started, so the names sort of just came along. I'm trying to think if I think the Viet name for Dai, Frankie, I think that came first. I think the English name came later, because we had some challenges trying to pick this name. And I don't know what your experience was like, but my wife and I, Lel, she got me on this name dating app.
Oh yeah.
And so when we had our first, she got me to download this app, and we were both picking names and swiping, I think left or right. I don't know which way, but we're swiping one of the ways if you like the names. And then we came to the short list, but there were not many names that we agreed on, right? Like there was this one name. So I live in Bankstown. There was this one name where she liked, Carter, if you say it like a normal person.
Yeah.
But if you say it with a Bankstown accent, it means khara, which is like shit. I think that's what it translates to. And I said to her, absolutely not. In this area, we are not having this name.
Yeah.
So yeah, we went through many names, and then Vietnamese was easy. We got that, bang, I like that name, went with it.
That's it.
And then the English name came a little bit later.
Well, names play a significant part, I think, because, firstly, it's how we call on each other every day.
Yeah.
And then, it just becomes ingrained, and essentially it's your identity, it's who you are, so it's important to sort of choose that. I think as parents, that's one of the first things we get to sort of, in a sense, bestow on our kids.
Yeah.
And you know, pass that kind of, you know, bit of something important onto them.
Yeah, and I think for us, the naming convention was intentional because I had made a commitment that I'd speak to them in Vietnamese because I wanted them to have the language to communicate with our wider family, and in particular, my mum.
Yep.
Because my mum's primary language is Vietnamese. That's how I communicate with her. So I was like, oh, you know, I want them to have a name. So they're Frankie is his first name, or Franklin, and then he's got a Vietnamese middle name. So the little one has a middle name as well. It's on their birth certificates.
Yeah.
So we wanted that to be part of their identity from day one. You know, my name's Khai. I don't have a different name, so I had the same name both, and I thought, yeah, that worked out all right for me.
Yeah.
One syllable, should be easier to pronounce, generally easy to spell.
Yes.
But yeah, once we did the name, we're like, yep, all systems go.
That's it, right?
And because I only call them by the Vietnamese names, it makes it a little bit easier for me to speak to Viet, because that was a new thing to me. Like I did not, you know, speak as much Viet once I moved out of home and got into the workforce. Didn't speak as much Viet unless I spoke to, you know, my mum or at a family event.
That's it.
But it was it was an interesting
Tell
journey.
me on, so culturally, obviously your Vietnamese background and your wife, what's her heritage?
So my wife's on her mum's side, they're Dutch. She's Australian, obviously, but her mum's side is Dutch, and her dad's side is Irish English.
Yep. But so even with
But they're
that,
multi-generation. Like, you know, her dad's side has been here for multi-generations. Her mum's parents are the ones that came here. Her mum was born here.
I mean, I imagine long before you guys had kids in your relationship, there would have been that cultural dynamic already where you're sort of learning about each other's sort of approaches and all of that.
Oh man, it's big time. So
Which
many stories. I mean, you can probably ask Lel for her perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were definitely some cultural learnings,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, along the way.
We'll skip that bit for a moment, just because I know there it sounds like and easily there's a lot, but more on the parenting side.
Yeah.
How at that point then, like, have you guys sort of decided on which aspects to draw on? Like you said already, like language is
Yeah.
something that is super important and apparent. I mean, communication with grandma and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what are the factors, you know, like festivities, culture,
Yeah.
food?
You mean at the point that we decided to start a family?
Yeah,
Or you're talking
like-
about like the early part, because the early part, there's not much at all. We didn't talk about it.
No,
you know?
no, exactly.
So-
More when you're parents
Yeah.
now, raising kids.
Yeah.
You're like,
So how do we approach the cultural aspects?
yeah, are you like consciously, you know, having to say, hey, we need to decide
Yeah.
on this or that, or
Yeah, I think so. I think, look, with the Vietnamese traditions, I think we do have to be intentional about it.
yeah,
So language was the first thing, because if I'm speaking to them in Viet every single day, I think there's an element of that. Family, we've got family around, we've got plenty of family around, so that's easy. We do the cultural holidays, you know, that's family happens, and luckily there's a lot of community events that celebrate that. So just last month we went to the Dirt Festival, which is the Lunar New Year festival in Fairfield, and there's heaps of them around, you know, like the Asian diaspora, many celebrate it. So we're lucky we have access to that, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to stay in Bankstown as well, is to have that cultural access. But yeah, food, bit of a mishmash. I think,
who's doing the cooking?
look, Lel does most of the cooking.
Yeah.
I have learnt to do more cooking, and I cook predominantly Asian food.
Yes.
So
And
we
she's cooking.
She's cooking everything. She's a good
Yeah.
cook. She's you know, she picks things up pretty quickly.
Has she learnt dishes from your
She
mum?
has learnt, but she's a bit more hesitant to do Vietnamese, because
Yeah, yeah.
she's like, I'll never be able to do it as well as your auntie or your mum.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm just not going to do those dishes.
For sure.
And because we live in the area we live, we have access to so many different cuisines.
Yeah.
But yeah, we try lots of different food.
My thing, like especially for Vietnamese dishes and stuff, is just from a starting point, you need like a 10-liter stock pot, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
'Cause
that
what do you-
alone to
yeah.
get like the true flavor.
Yeah. And I've done it. So last was it last year? I don't even know. We're in 2026. Yeah. So last year, I consciously, deliberately learnt how to make pho, which is the Vietnamese beef noodle. And I probably cooked it about maybe close to 15 times
Oh,
to
wow.
learn how to do it. And man, the first few times was like a whole day process, you know.
So with your mum, you're cooking?
No, with my auntie.
Ah.
Let me say, my mum came along and helped
Yeah.
with one of the sessions. That was the worst version I had. She was like yelling at me the whole time. I was like, Mum, I don't need this stress when I'm trying to, learn something new. She was just trying to help,
Yeah, yeah.
but it didn't turn out as
Yeah.
well. I will put that on the record. And I've told her, I said, Mum, the version you helped me with was the worst one.
Too much shouting.
Too much shouting. There was not enough love. There was too much shouting. Or maybe that's her version of love.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It is.
so there was a lot of effort, but I wanted to try that and see what it was like. And it turned out, well towards the end. The early versions were a bit questionable.
Yeah.
Everyone that ate it did survive. So that's good. What do you guys do? Like, what's your arrangement with food?
I mean, I've been cooking a lot more so just because Vicky's sort of had a bit on of late.
Yeah.
And I enjoy food, I enjoy cooking.
Nice.
My go-to dish is mapo tofu.
Okay.
So I'd made a little video on a how-to recently that I put up just because I was like, it's the dish I also just share with friends if they ask like
That's
what's,
nice.
a good dish to cook.
And what's the kids? Do the kids eat it? Are there complaints?
Yeah. So
they all-
that version I make is like a kid-friendly version. So it's like no spice. Generally, it's like you've got like chilies or like Szechuan peppers or all that sort of thing.
Hold back on that.
Yeah. So mine's more, in many ways, it's like a Chinese bolognese. It's sort of like it's pork mince. It's like flavor sauce, tofu, that sort of thing. But yeah, so it goes down well. Especially my younger one's been the one who's the fussy eater.
Yeah. So same with us. The younger one's the fussy one. The older one eats everything, like almost everything.
Yeah.
And he's always been a good eater. So, but my go-to dish, I would have to say, is Spam fried rice.
Ah.
Yeah. I saw this recipe, and I've always liked fried rice.
Spam.
I've always liked
fan.
Spam. I've always liked Spam as well. So I was like, I made it, and you know what? The kids eat it 100% of the time. So that is like my safe meal. Lel's like, look, if you want to make something easy, just go make that. The kids are gonna eat it,
Yeah.
So I've got a few safe meals. I think I learned how to make, I know. I learned how to make char kway tao last year.
Okay.
So what I normally do is I make pho,
Yeah.
and then when we have leftover noodles,
yes.
then I do a different dish with that, and I do the char kway tao with it.
You learn off just yourself or?
The recipe.
Yeah,
I tried it, experimented, failed a few times. Flavor was not good enough, and
Do you get the heat up real high?
Yeah, we have a gas cooker outside. It's still not as hot as I want it to be on a
Yeah.
wok, but man,
high.
the kids predominantly eat it. They don't like bean sprouts for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know what the
which-
story is. I guess
Most kids.
when I was young, I didn't like it either. The texture's a little bit, and the flavor's not amazing.
Yeah.
As an adult, it's so good, but as a kid,
Well, apparently
strange.
kids, they have more taste buds than us. So their taste sensation is a lot sharper and higher. So I'm sure, everything sweet, sour,
Yeah.
bitter, all of that is
Yeah.
kind of affecting them.
Yeah, but that's always a consideration. Is like, will the kids eat this? Because I want them to eat the food that we grew up with, and I'm very fortunate. My aunties and my mum cook certain dishes. Like tonight, we're having like a braised pork type dish.
Yes.
I don't even know what it's called. A pot. I don't know.
I know the one.
I don't know
that-
the name,
yeah.
but it's the one with the egg as well.
Yeah, the boiled
That one.
egg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kids love that. Lots of garlic, lemongrassy kind of flavors.
So it's good.
Good.
So, I mean, even with food and gatherings, it sounds like that's a strong time. You guys are all coming together, like it's aunties and it's different family.
Yeah. We do. I mean, look, our families are more blended now. I think as the generations live in Australia, then, we've got people who marry into other people from different cultures. So there's
Sure.
more of a blend at our cousins'
Yeah.
generation compared to our auntie, uncle, parents' generation, where, more often than not, it was marrying another Vietnamese person.
Yeah.
So but it's the fun family gatherings and gets expanded. But that's our common culture.
On a weekly basis, are you often having meals with your mum, like there with grandma?
Yeah. Well, with mum, you know, so my mum, we see her a couple of times a week. We have one, sometimes 2 meals with her a week. That's the beauty of living so close. And she does a school pickup for us as well.
Yeah.
So she gets to see Frankie.
Nice.
But yeah, that's a weekly occurrence. And then the extended family, we probably see them maybe once, sometimes twice a month, depending on what's going on,
Yeah.
which is nice.
So tell me on the family support and work, and I mean, tell me about the work that you do. How are you guys getting support or that help? Like, how does that sort of play, a big role or, a
Oh,
help
huge role. I don't know how people, look, we've spoken to people who, have come to Australia and don't have family, and like they make it work. Eventually everyone makes it work, but
Yeah.
we recognize the privilege and the luckiness, that we have in terms of having family around. So both kids have been through daycare.
Yep.
And so we generally go one side of the grandparents one day, other side one day, and then daycare for the others. That's for the little one, for Hill. And then for Frankie, who's in school, it's 5 days in school, but my mum does one of the pickups. So that's fortunate. We need Ush. We actually swapped primary schools because there was no after school care in the first school we sent him to.
What's Ush, you said?
Sorry, like out of school hours care.
Okay, got it, yeah.
So, after school they can go to this for another, I think it's up to
2
3 hours.
Yeah.
He's only there for like an hour and a bit, 2 hours, but it makes a world of difference,
Yeah.
that little bit of extra time.
Yeah, you're not like dropping everything, rushing over.
Yeah, because the work that I'm doing at the moment, so we have a company called HR Think Tank,
Yep.
which does 2 things. One part is leadership training. So we run leadership training for businesses, organizations. And then the other side is I do strategic consulting, again, for companies, right? And so there's some client contact time, there's a lot of project time, and you want to be available to clients. Whereas if I'm only available from 10 to 2 o'clock every day, that's not a huge window. But look, we're lucky, we have support, we have some of these additional services, and we make work. Family's always number one. That's the rule I've always had, is always family first. If you've got an important family function, that's what you're doing. And when I was leading teams, I would say the same thing to my team members, and I was saying that even before I had kids. So now that I have kids, I follow that same rule, which is we've got milestone days, we are absolutely going to that. I mean, how often does it happen?
That's cool.
Right? So we always try to make that work, but then we have to be realistic that sometimes we can't go to it.
Yeah.
And if we can't, for good reason, then we just don't go.
Yeah.
But we always try to make it like next week there's an athletics carnival. We're going to that, we're bringing the grandparents too,
Nice.
right? But
That's great. So yeah, you've always advocated for families and them having that support and knowing, like, sometimes the work can wait as well, or there's
if we're lucky, if there's nothing urgent, then that's great. I mean, Leo and I both have remote roles, and Leo and I are actually working together now. So since the start of this year, she stopped working at her university role after a long time, and we're working on the company together. So, we got this dynamic where we're a family together, but we're also running the business together, running the company together. And it's not a new experience. We have run a company together before, over 10 years ago, which, you were involved, you helped us out with a number of different things back then. It was an e-commerce business.
Yeah.
So we've had that experience, but it's different this time because we've got kids. We've got a lot more way up, and I think there's always a challenge between compartmentalizing, saying, okay, this is family time, this is like work time, and we need to make sure that the other things don't overlap, and if there's disagreement in one part, it doesn't seep into the other, so we're still navigating that. It's still relatively early days. Like, we worked on a project together last year, but she was still in her role, whereas this year is like exclusive, with just us.
Okay.
The beauty of it is we have a lot of flexibility and autonomy. Like, we're able to craft you know, the week the way that we want, and sometimes we have minimal influence when the kids are sick or when things go wrong in the house or you need something to look after urgently. But from a client perspective, it just means we just manage the workload a little bit more. You know, say yes to certain things, say no when we don't have the capacity.
Yep.
And it comes back to the question of like, how much work do we want to do versus how much time we want to spend with family.
You'd be
'cause,
super
you know,
in sync with each other.
We
I
have
would
to
hope,
be. We have to be because like someone's got to pick up the kids, you know. But I would say I'm the primary on this, on this company.
Yes.
Whereas the first company, Lel was the prime.
Yep.
She had to do a lot more. It was, you know, she was the face of it. There was a lot of design type work. It was an e-commerce field that was more aligned with her.
Yep.
So whereas this is, you know, I'm part of the delivery.
Yep.
I do a lot of the client stuff. So yeah, I think we've got a good working dynamic at the moment, but we are still navigating through it. Yeah.
It's nice you've made that choice. Tell me, like, in your world, we're about to reach this.
Loud.
This is the loudest.
What is it? What birds?
Bats.
Bats.
It's a bat colony.
What the hell? They're up at this time? I thought they're nocturnal. Or maybe it's different type of bats.
Let's see how we go.
All right. Holy smokes.
I've not been through it when they've been this active, so
Yeah, this is crazy.
hopefully it's more just the noise than
Yeah. Ah, here we go. Okay, dead bats may be near your walkway.
that I
Do not
saw on one of the
touch.
last ones, but
Crazy. I've not seen it this active. Like, do you and Vicky have much work overlap, or because you guys are working on separate things?
yeah. We have before, but at the moment not necessarily, because she's been focusing with her floristry.
Yeah.
And I've been doing these dad bushwalks, so it's very dad-centric and stuff. But something recently which I shared with you is this parenting collective that I'm sort of forming. And so that's mums and dads together. And that's me pooling together skill sets from, you know, any industry across creative, entrepreneurial, you know, professions.
Yeah.
So it's not to sort of be sort of boxed into any one particular thing.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to sort of find scope and overlap in that way,
Yeah.
where like the whole goal of that is like I can push forward people's skills individually.
Yeah.
So like a florist with my wife, or a friend who's a photographer,
Yeah.
or like a designer, stuff like that. But then in time, whilst kind of building like trust with clients, or sort of maybe a reputation as such, we could meld different skill sets together and kind of approach projects a little bit more artistically.
Yeah.
And like it could be, you know, and they'd naturally fit like floral work with photography
Yeah.
or design, and then
Putting it together like a project team. Every time there's a unique, you know, request comes up, and you're able to form like an Avengers type team.
yeah.
Man, how are you walking and not looking? Like, I know you've done this walk a few times, but you're holding this as well. I'm like, bats, rocks everywhere. Oh.
I'm doing my best as well. The brain is firing. But yeah, so that's that. But we are very we kind of check in with what each other, like the projects are that each person's doing.
Yeah.
So we put everything on a shared calendar.
Same.
Yeah.
Like,
so
thank goodness for that. Like, it's all logistics and communications. I feel like once you have a family, that is just managing that on a daily basis.
100%.
You know?
That's it. So we know where each person has to be, where they need to go.
Yeah.
I got asked for a production assist related job for next week, but I had to turn it down because Vicky's schedule's just really packed out next week.
Yeah.
So the best way for me to support that is more having things where I'm getting the kids to school and the relevant things. So it's like as smooth as possible on that, and she doesn't have to really handle or think
So does that alternate for you sort of on a weekly or monthly basis?
It can.
Yeah.
I think it's more in periods though,
Yeah.
because it's just kind of, I know she's in the thick of a busy time for herself
Yeah.
of late. So it's kind of just like, all right, I'm gonna really, sort of own that in terms of the parenting
Yeah.
care side.
Yeah. Well, we've Lo and I have like a default schedule.
Yeah.
And unless something comes up, you know, an event, a workshop, a client requirement, then it adjusts. But we sort of like split out our days in terms of who's doing pickup, who's doing drop off.
Got it.
Like the days that my mum's caring for Hill
Yeah.
is the day that I pick up, you know, Thai or Frankie from school,
Yeah.
and then we go have dinner at my mum's.
Nice.
And then the other way around, the day that her parents are looking after the little one,
Yeah.
then she picks up, you know, the older one and then takes him to the grandparents. So we have a few like fixed days.
Yeah.
And then that just allows me to plan, you know, client engagement or days that I'm working in the city a little bit more. And, you know, this is the approach I've taken for many years, even when I was working for a different company a while ago. And I must say, look, I've been working in some capacity for myself for, what year are we? Almost 10 years.
Yep.
So we've always had an element of influencing the schedule.
Yep.
Sometimes more, sometimes less, but we've been able to do it, and I think we've got a bit more of a rhythm now. I mean, credit to Lel, she's had to deal with the brunt of it still, you know, and I think a big factor is previously or prior to this year, she's had a relatively stable job with the university and on a part-time basis. And so that allows us that little bit of extra flexibility because having two full-time working parents, and we've done that a few times, it is hard.
Yeah.
It is really hard, particularly when I had more of a traveling schedule as well. So working interstate or working abroad, whew,
Yeah.
that was hard.
For sure, your relationship feels it. The kids would,
Yeah.
you know, sort
Yeah.
of like feel it. Sometimes they wouldn't even know how to articulate it.
Yeah.
But it's sort of the
Oh.
impacts there.
Definitely. I mean, when they're asking for you at night, I remember all the times I've called them from the airports, you know, or when I'm in the hotel lobby
Yeah.
in different countries. I'm like, oh, God.
I know.
know?
I once, when I was doing a bit of back and forth between Sydney and Byron, we had like my wife with the kids, but
Yeah.
like Asko was feeling a bit sick.
Oh,
But
that's
she
the
had to get our
worst.
younger one to bed, and so I was on like video call with him,
Yeah.
trying to comfort him while like he had just like had a spew, and
Oh,
you know, the poor guy. And you're like, what else can you do except just stay on the line and
yeah.
you know,
And I
try and
think
be
that's-
reassuring.
And I think those sort of early experiences have influenced where we're at now, which is like, do I need to be interstate or abroad? Like, how important is it? How critical is it to what we're doing? Because if it's not, you know, like I used to travel to Canberra every month for work prior to kids, but you know, the workloads changed, the requirements have changed, and also our use of time has changed. So now I'm like, no, if I don't need to go down, then I won't.
Yeah.
Whereas before, we had the time, it was just us.
Yeah.
You know?
The simple days.
Oh, yeah. Totally
Tell
simple.
me, how would you best describe what you do? Like, how do you even learn that? How do you even get into the world you do? Like, I've always not really, I kind of know, but I kind of don't know, like when people are consulting in
Yeah.
corporate and business areas, like,
Yeah.
how's that a key element
Well,
or important?
Well, I think.
Tell me
my-
like your specialty.
Yeah, so I mean, to put it bluntly, it's to make shit happen, right?
Yep.
And that's probably the simple way is like, how do you take something from an idea to execution? And so for one of the things that I work on with the client in terms of the strategic consulting, that's around, sometimes it's strategic planning. So helping them, you know, undertake that review to say, okay, where have we been going and where do we want to go? That thought process, right? And taking it kind of a little bit like what we're doing, but in a business setting, which is exploring, having these discussions and helping people define what it is that they want, why do they want it, and what do they need to get it, right? So, I mean, I'm breaking it down and making it simple, because sometimes it is, but it's a timing thing. Like you have to have multiple discussions, different stakeholders to get that. And sometimes the client has a very clear idea on what they want to do, but they don't know how to get there. And so I'll come in and, you know, make that happen. And it's different projects. Like I've got a specific area. A lot of it's related to like leadership, some sort of strategy, right? Related to people development. That's the area. Sometimes I've worked on a few transformation IT type projects, but I don't take those on as much. Obviously, I would help coordinate and make that happen and get the thinking, but I would get others who are more specialized in that field to make that happen. So yeah, how do you get into it? I think it's from learning. I mean, I've done some of these projects myself. I've been involved in some of these projects myself. And then so you lend that experience to other companies who want to do a similar thing, right? And it's a little bit, I see it a little bit like maths. Like you understand the formula. You might not know the specific inputs, but you understand the formula. And when you understand the formula, it doesn't matter what the inputs are.
So they bring you that information, you can plug it in.
You put it in, you make it happen, you know, it's in your brain and it's with the support that you have around it. Sometimes you're talking to different people. And then you just build out a plan and you make it happen. So one of the specific things I'm working on at the moment is called an employer value proposition. So just helping this company form that piece, which is like, what is your employer brand? Why do people want to work for you? Why do people want to stay with you? Like, what is it, what are the things that you're offering to your current employees and your prospective employees? You know, what do you stand for? What are the key benefits? What are the key drivers? And then just putting that together so they have this document, this piece of work that they can hold on to and say, this is who we are, this is who we want to be, these are the types of people that we want to employ. If you want to work with us, this is what we can commit to you, you know? And that's about creating a stronger brand in the market, particularly if you're working in a competitive market. And we all know, you know, hiring employees is expensive. It's hard. And people get it wrong so often, right? And when you get the wrong employees, it can really set you back. And often when you have good employees, you know, you want to keep them, you want to develop them, but what are you offering? Why should they stay there? How do they avoid being stale? What leadership opportunities or generally what opportunities you're offering? So I'm taking a client through that at the moment. And you know, that's a piece of work. That's just a tangible example.
Oh, look, and I could, so curious to expound on it more, but taking it to more parenting and, you know, being a dad and stuff. How do you view it in terms of like relaying stuff with your kids, sort of like taking information and data, so to speak, and using that to your advantage? Only because I think as a parent, it's like, you know, which makes sense. We put so much time and effort into the work we do, building our career and our profession. And as you were saying, like choosing the right employee for a company makes all the difference. I'm like, with our kids, it makes the most sense. Like, these are people we're, you know, raising and having in our life. Like, why not try and make them the best version of themselves? So that our family, our company as a whole is going to thrive. And it's like, you know, obviously there's this sort of balance of time and priorities and stuff, but that's why I think I'm passionate of like, like let's really put the time and effort and energy into our kids. Because that's going to help all of us in life, help them, and we're all going to like grow and thrive.
I totally agree with that. And it's about being intentional, right? Deliberate with the actions and the choices that you make. And, you know, we're not always going to make the right choices because we don't know what we don't know. But the question you're asking is like, if we put all this effort into work, do we put an equal amount, if not more, into the kids? Like the conscious part of making it, or we just program on default and make it happen. And you know, some things are, you sort of just make do, right? Because you're short of time. And that's an interesting discussion point because I met a lot of people who will say, and maybe I've used this excuse a few times, is I can't do this because I don't have time, right? And sometimes it's valid and sometimes it's actually an excuse. You know, oh, I don't have time to play with my kids because I'm doing 12, 14 hours of work. Or it's like, okay, how much extra of that 2 hours or 4 hours is making a difference to your work? and how much of an impact could that have in a positive way on your kids?
For sure.
Because, one of the things I always think about is that quality time, right? Like
Yes.
I said to Lel, I don't want to be working 48 weeks of the year to then spend 4 weeks of quality time with my kids, spend the money to make up the difference, to then parachute them into Bali or Vietnam or somewhere else, and now go, oh, hey, I didn't see you for 48 weeks of the year, but let's spend this quality time now in the resort. And you put a lot of pressure on that, and you try to compress it, and you're almost paying your way out of the consistency. I think about the hare and the tortoise sort of like sprint versus that consistency. And so since we've had kids, I've been like, no, I want to have quality time regularly, because I don't want to just bank it or wait, because a lot of shit can happen throughout the year that can build on that relationship, or it can take away from the relationship. And I always think about some of the advice I got from friends who've, a bit older than me and their kids are a bit older. They all said to me, Khai, you got to be there for the small moments, because if you're not there for the small moments when they need you after school because of an issue, or they fell, or they had a little play, what makes you think they're going to come to you when they have a big moment or a big issue? Because you've got to build that trust and that capital, right? That trust in the bank over time. And so if I just keep working and ignore them, or minimal, and then they're 15 and they have this major crisis, like, we won't have that bond to begin with. And so I thought about that from a very young age. And I think, like, for me, a big influence of this is I grew up with a single parent. So with just a mum, and so in some ways I'm like, no, I want to make sure that I'm present. Like, yeah, I've got work and I'm building things and doing things. But if it's not mission critical, I'll spend time at home. But I also want the kids to see me working towards something,
your purpose,
being passionate, contributing to the world as well. I don't want them to just see me at home all the time, like just pottering around.
It's not about you needing to play with them 24/7.
No.
It's in being, interactive and playing in, the moments where it matters, but them seeing you lead, by example, and like pursuing what, matters to you. So
being available to them is one thing, but, I've traveled quite a bit over the years, and they've seen me, and I've explained to them, oh, hey, I've got to go here because I'm doing this, and this is what I'm hoping to build towards. They might not always understand what I'm trying to say, but I think the intention is there.
Yeah, the groundwork's there. Love that.
Like,
I think long term you're going to get a different result. And look, it's not like
I've seen this. Like, my friends who've got older kids have told me they've been on the end of working too hard, or working very hard, and not seeing their kids. Like, some of this advice has come from friends who are, working in the business world, leading companies, and they're saying this is the price that we have paid, right? We've got financial security, but I'm trying to make up for lost time now.
Yeah.
And it's so different trying to build that bond when your kid is 18 versus when your kid is 18 months.
Yes.
It's
and I think it's different as well. Actually, like, it's just a societal thing that, and of course the timing is hard, but I keep thinking sometimes like life is like Benjamin Button of like doing things in reverse actually makes the most sense. It's like when your kids are young, that's a really amazing time to spend with them, from 0 to like the first few years where it's 3 years, 4, 5, 6 years, and then, into school is a whole other new realm.
Yeah.
But like that block alone, between say 0 to 5 is going to be like way more dynamic sharing that than if it's like 15 to 20 when they're, a lot more independent. And they don't really even want you around,
Look, that just happened the other day, like I was saying how I was talking to a friend about, cuddles with the kids, and at least they still want it now. And I was on a call, and this friend was saying, oh mate, I just dropped off my kid at the airport. He's 17, 18. He waved goodbye, didn't even want me to come into the airport. He was just like, drop me off and leave. He goes, so Khai, like, make the most of it now, because this is not permanent. The kids are not always gonna want you in the same state. And I don't know, Kelvin, like, I'm wondering if, you and I and our family seem like we've made this deliberate decision to spend time and have that flexibility, and that's our experience, right? And that's our bias. Like, and clearly, you do whatever works for your family, right? There are other people who I don't know, like sometimes I think, is it a choice or is it a privilege that we can do
yeah,
this?
it's
Like,
both. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Because there's a certain level of, people think about financial security, obviously food and housing that you've got to meet. And for some people, like,
I think it's
they've got to make it work.
yeah, it's also society and what we're fed though. Like,
Yeah,
we're just used to the narrative of like, you got to keep working non-stop so you can provide and be that person
Yeah.
for your family. But actually,
you're talking about the role as a father, or you're talking about the role as parents as per se?
I mean, I guess specifically father,
Yeah,
more
yeah.
just to, what the expectation
Right.
on us is. And for sure, like a lot of that rings true, but then it's like, I think the muscle of how can you reconfigure it so, you kind of set your own truth as
Yeah,
well of like, this actually is possible. Like, I've done this many years with my kid being, involved, and like I'm turning my own corner of like, I'm re-engaging for me like personal things and work, and sort of like trying to reinvent my career path a bit and all sorts of things like that. But I've constantly checked in with myself that it's like no regrets of like the time I've spent so far,
Yeah.
and the value that I think I'll get out of that down the track.
Yeah, yeah. You're thinking about your future self, and you're also thinking about the future state of your kids, right? And obviously your relationship with your wife as well. And I think, like, I'm also thinking about that, because my framework is like, what will I regret most? And I had a very profound conversation with someone, and this is one of the reasons why I decided to speak Vietnamese to the kids from day one, because when I left home and started entering the workforce, I didn't speak Vietnamese as much. I probably would speak maybe an hour a week when I talk to my mum, or if I go to a family event. But I was on this car ride to the airport. I was leaving Sydney, I think, to go work abroad. And I had this Uber driver who I saw the name, Vietnamese person. So I said, "Oh, hi, uncle." He was an older man, probably in his 60s. And I said, "Hi, in Vietnamese." He goes, "Oh, it's so good you can speak Vietnamese." And we started talking a little bit more. And he was saying to me, complete strangers, he goes, one of his big life regrets was not teaching or encouraging his kids to speak more Vietnamese. And this is before Leo and I had kids. And he said, well, now I've got grandkids. And the sad thing is, I have very limited discussions with them. And I feel like they don't know me and I don't know them. And they don't know the true version. Of course, I love them, but we can't have that, that depth in the relationship. And, I just felt really sad. And immediately I thought about my mum. I was like, my mum loves kids. Like, she's helped raise so many kids. And I just thought, like, I don't want that for her, and I don't want that for my kids. I want my kids to get to know, my mum and my aunties and my uncles and, the extended family and friends who may not speak English. And so, at that point, I think mentally I had already gone, all right, when I have kids, I'm going to teach them Vietnamese. And it's one of those influences that shape your life, and this decision you make early on then leads to its own other path.
For sure.
It's the same path as, what you're talking about in terms of that flexibility and trying to be present for certain things with the kids on a daily basis, because it forms these habits that then 10 years later, you're like, oh, great, cool. I didn't realize that that choice I had made.
It makes all the difference.
And I don't want to regret. That's the thing, we're starting off and saying that's one of the decision frameworks is I'm going to the future. I'm like, what will I regret most?
Yeah, 100%.
It's 15 years later. The kids aren't talking to me. I'm giving you the extreme version. Kids aren't talking to me. I never spent enough time with them. It's hard to repair. Am I just a provider?
You don't want to be in crisis mode trying to fix stuff versus we could have just done it at like a very steady, considered pace. Early
procrastinating. You're like procrastinating the relationship, and it's hard. There are some things in life you might be able to wing and procrastinate, and then other things like you've got to lay the groundwork.
You know what I think as well? Like, parenting is a real test of the relationship to be a parent and to love your kids, but to see that, the love really has to grow apart from when they're like just cute and cuddly to like when they're annoying and they're like, you know, giving you crap or they're not listening
Yep,
and all that stuff.
yep.
But it's like, you know, it's a forced relationship. Like, obviously, we decided to, you know,
We
make it
brought him into
human.
this world.
Yeah. But like, you know, essentially, we're tethered together for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think in that way, it's like, it really challenges you because in all the shitty parts, you're like, how much do I still care? How much am I still going to love them?
Yeah.
And that's when it's like, you know, you want to lay these groundwork things that we're saying versus, and again, it's not like I'm saying it as a judgment thing, but I think a lot of parents, an easy way out at times is to just dive more into work and things you can distract yourself.
100%. Like that's easy. You know, it's avoidance, right? Like I can just stay at work. I mean, look, I work from home most of the time, but you know, for people who work in the office or off site, it's very easy to say yes to the you know, extra hours, right? For some people, you know, it's avoidance. Like they don't want to deal with the hard stuff because late at night when the kids need you, it is freaking hard. But each to their own. I say at the end of the day, I'm focused on my family, but I do think about the community because if we have kids who all have absent parents, that obviously influences the community. But then you're like, okay, how much influence do I have?
Yeah. No, and that is that next, you know, layer of the bigger picture. It's like helping us, so as a family unit dynamic, we can be cohesive and have something positive between us. But then for sure, I think the next layer is like our kids can step out into the world and be helpful, or they can, you know, have some sort of input that also matters. It can be in small ways, but it's like, you know, we all have to live on this planet. So it's like, why not make it, again, you know, as enriching for all of us if possible.
Can. I mean, it depends on your view of the world and your own parenting or your own experience growing up as a kid, right? One of the questions I have when I do my leadership training is I ask people, what have been your core influences on your own leadership style? And you know, I can frame this the same with parenting. I ask people, okay, is it made up from your positive, your surplus experiences, you know, the positive interactions you've had, and so you want to emulate that leader, that positive leader? Or is your leadership style shaped more by the bad, the negative, the adverse experiences you've had, and so you are trying not to be that, you're trying to avoid that, you're trying to be the exact opposite of that? So I ask you, Kelvin, the same thing, which is, you know, what's influenced your parenting? Is it one? Is it the other? Is it a bit of both? Is it a lot of both?
It's definitely both. Well, I was going to ask you before, because you said you were raised by your mum, so single parent. Like I shared early on with one of my first talks, like my dad passed when I was 12. So huge impact for my life was going through things without a father figure, but not realizing the importance of that until I was sort of in my late 20s and then entering into parenthood. So I think a big approach for me is like, you know, seeing the importance of that time and that involvement, and like just that it matters and that you don't get that experience back. Like it just can go by. I think as I have learnt, you know, in my own sort of creative path, I think the expression of you as a person, like that sort of true self, I think again it's much more rewarding to sort of tap into that and share that side of yourself out with the world than just be, you know, another duplicate of what, you know, society or expectations sort of shove on you. So
well, I mean, I just had a few of these conversations this week as part of my leadership training, because I don't know if I told you, Kelvin, but part of the leadership training I do, I utilize psychometric assessments, which look at, you know, your personal qualities, your personal preferences, and then we also do like leadership assessments that then looks at how that influences your leadership behaviors.
Got it.
And when I'm talking to people, I always talk to people about the three different personas. Like this tool, this UK product, UK tool that I use, they assess the the person under 3 personas. You know, your underlying persona, which is like the natural you, how you think of yourself, the everyday you, which is how you tend to show up, and that can include amplifications of certain qualities, that can include suppressions of certain qualities. And then we talk about the overextended you, which is like you under stress, under pressure, right?
Which is parenting.
Which
often.
is parenting all the time, right? And what you were saying is like, you want to reveal that true self to your kids. Like, I want the kids to know who I am, you know? And if I'm always in that stress state, that and that means I'm overplaying certain qualities, or I'm, you know, a lot more, you know, short fused or whatever it is. If that's all they see of you, it's like, man, then you got to get into that, that true self.
For sure.
You know, because it's a lot easier being you than pretending to be someone else, right?
100%.
And I mean, the challenge I see these days as well is when you're on social media, you are bombarded with what good parenting is, what bad parenting is, what active parenting is, and fuck, sometimes you just got to switch that off.
For sure.
Because there is just noise from everywhere. And so for me, I sort of look back to my own upbringing and my influences, and then I think about future state. I think about like how I want the relationship to be with my kids, hoping, you know, I've prepared them for the world that is. But more importantly, like, what is the dynamic that we want to have? What are the things that I want them to know about me and the world and our family? So I think about that more, and sometimes you got to bring that circle to be smaller than just being caught up in this whole thing. Because if I just follow social media and I'm got to do this and, you know, do this certain play 5 hours a day, and if that is not who I am inherently, because, like, for example, I'm not great at arts and crafts. That is not, but if you want to play sport, if you want to do active stuff and games, I'm all for that.
Totally.
You know, so for me, trying to do arts and crafts every day, oh man, that's hard. I'm willing to do it for a little bit, but I don't think consistently I could show up.
I hear you. I know my wife's good at taking the kids out to like the art gallery and sitting at the craft table and doing stuff. I sort of just zone out a little bit, and like, I'm like, yeah, like it's kind of cool, but like I would be super keen to like take them adventuring through like back streets in the city and like trying to find like a new food spot and testing that out, and, you know, exploring that. And but, you know,
and they get to know you because these are the things that you like. Because like the alternative, one of the alternatives is you do everything for them and you don't reveal anything about your own character or preferences. And so the kids, you know, as they get older, like I'm taking one of my kids to the grand final of the Women's Asian Cup on Saturday.
Awesome.
You know, I like soccer, he likes soccer. It's a unique experience. It's a final. Hopefully Australia beats Japan. But I'm like, I'm going to do this.
That's cool.
You know, there are times we've explored things that he likes too. And I absolutely want to do that. But I don't want to be so off balance that you only do things for them in their interest and there's nothing that you like.
I think with their interests, it's like you can learn something new about yourself. And like you said, you can either learn like you don't like it at all, or you realize like, oh, there's an inkling. Actually, I'd really love to participate because we can have this bond and it's kind of encouraging and you can grow in it. So
I also want to be open-minded, right? And I didn't realize I liked coloring. It was like, it's pretty relaxing coloring in.
Sure is.
But I think that's critical for the kids to see that you are trying new things, but there are also things that you like, that you feel strongly about, right? And I want the kids to see that passion. Like when they see me watching a game, they can see it.
I think that's it. I think your authentic self is infectious, and I think the kids pick up on that energy, and it just makes for, you know, it makes for fun. I think laughter is one of the best things in the household. Like, I'm like, I know at times like when the dinner table has been a bit serious or something and like someone's farted or burped or like something silly's happened and you just can't help but crack up laughing. It's, you know, it's a nice moment.
I agree. You gotta lower the temperature. And then this is why we're lucky we have a dog in the house too. You know, he sort of like breaks the ice, keeps things a little bit more like cool. Because at times when there's when they're upset and you say no to certain things, oh man, it starts a whole spiral, right? And the question always is like, how do we get ourselves out of this? Like, do we keep digging? Do we like be hard-headed and stubborn and then create more friction? Or is there a way that we can lose this? And play is the antidote to that.
I hear.
Play and humor.
Yeah, digging often doesn't help. It does, get you in
Nah.
a deeper hole.
Nah, and then like mentally and emotionally, you're just so exhausted if you're doing that every day. And imagine, we're talking about work and parenting, right? You've had a hard day at work and you're dealing with all of this, and then you come home and you got to deal with it more. I mean, I think this is why a lot of people say with parents, there's a bit more of a practical, no bullshit approach at work, because you're like, you want to save your energy for the people that matter most in your life, right?
100%.
And I remember like how I got into training, leadership training, is I used to do training years ago. I can't even remember when, maybe 15 years ago. I used to fly around the state training different teams. And I remember running, I think it was customer service training. And I used to say to people, hey, your families deserve the best version of you. If you are expending 100% and you are emotionally vacant by the time you get home, that's not fair on your partner. That's not fair on your kids. You're showing at work the best version of yourself, and then your kids, your family don't get to see that.
Get the scraps,
And I think about that a lot, and I think that's influenced my parenting, because I'm like, my kids deserve the best, my wife deserves the best. And, I've not always met that mark, because there's been days where you're just emotionally, physically tired. But I think the ability to communicate that and say, hey guys, I'm not 100% today. I'm not feeling well, and letting people know ahead of time, I think it goes a long way. Not to say that I can't do better, but
yeah,
I'm very conscious of that. So how much effort, or you just learn to be more efficient in terms of the things you do for work. So that way it is not taking up all your energy. And I think one of the things that takes up a lot of energy for people is conflict in the workplace. The interpersonal relationships. And it's like, man, don't get involved in that. If there is cooler
drama.
chat, drama,
Yeah.
if it doesn't influence your work, don't get involved, so each to their own.
With your kids now, what are like the things you're experiencing as the wins of at the age they are, and what are on the flip side, the challenges that you're like, oh man, this is, okay, I'm still going to be deep in this for a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think, look, big win. We did some toilet training with the little one
Nice.
a couple of months ago. Awesome. No nappies during the day. Certainly would have made camping a lot easier when we went camping over Christmas than having to deal with nappies. But yeah, the wins, like they're active, they're healthy, they're curious, they ask questions. I think a big win, and maybe I don't think about it as much, I think about it more when we interact with others, is the ability to speak Vietnamese, because certain friends and strangers are always impressed that they can speak Vietnamese. They're like, oh my God, another generation, and they can speak, like we don't even expect you to speak Vietnamese, and the fact that your kid does. And of course I'm proud when that happens, and that's a lot of effort, like diligent effort, conscious effort to make that happen. And we're fortunate to have family around who speak the language too. But in some ways I'm also sad about it, that
it's not more normalized.
It's not more normalized.
Yeah.
It's a unique point, and it just means that there are others who aren't doing it. I thought more would be doing it. And certainly, when we speak to friends who do speak it, we're so grateful. But yeah, I just thought there'd be more of us that speak another language. And I'm not talking about Vietnamese specifically, I'm just saying another language.
Every culture,
in the region that we're in, we're an island country, we've got so many different cultures here. But because we are so far away, I think mentally it's made people think, well, English is the dominant language, which it is, and I don't need another language to thrive. But then as soon as you pop on a plane and go somewhere else for work or for leisure, they speak another language. So cool. Proud of that. In terms of challenges, I think it's just the relationship that they have with each other, and the physical changes that they're going through, and how they display that strength, how they display their emotions. We're going through that. I think we're still at a building phase of our company, and figuring out what that looks like, the dynamic. There's been a lot of change for us, because Lel's not working for a university anymore, so we're exploring some new career paths.
Taking like the safety net away a little bit?
Yeah, big time. And she's been talking about it for a little while. I've certainly been encouraging her to take that change. But realizing how much control and influence we have over our own lives and how we want to live it, like it's empowering, but it's so scary
Yeah,
at the
leap.
same time.
Yeah.
You know, so just going through that, kids going through school soon, the little one, and just the navigating friendships and what good, healthy friendships look like.
Yes.
And trying to explain that to them on their tough days when certain things have happened. So I think that's the real challenge for this year, is helping them understand what healthy friendships look like. And a big part of this is helping them shape and understand that identity. So, you know, we started this conversation talking about culture and language. And, you know, a few times my eldest son has said to me, oh, you know, like, I'll say something, I'm like, oh, that's what happened. He goes, oh, but I'm Australian. Like, what does that mean for me? And I said, oh, well, you know, I said, we're both Australian. We're citizens of this country. Culturally, we're Australian, you know, but we still have Vietnamese heritage and we still have Vietnamese family. Because I've said certain things to him in Vietnamese, because I speak to him predominantly. And it's a lesson that I remembered or learnt. And he goes, oh, but does that apply to me because I'm Australian? And like trying to navigate that sort of multi-racial identity piece. And we're exploring, you know, like I'm not shutting it down. I'm not saying like hardline, you've got to do this, but really exploring what it means to be Australian in today's age, what it means to have like other cultural identities, because, you know, my wife's family has got, you know, European culture, identity as well, and how we explore that, how we talk about that. Because I want him to have a healthy relationship with those cultures and the family. But a big part is like the identity piece, because then it stems into like the things that I want to impart to my kids is I want them to have a strong sense of self. I want them to have that self-belief. Like, these are the values, I value myself. I don't need other people, certainly people I don't care about, to validate me.
For sure.
But then also go into that self-confidence. You know, that was one of the key drivers for me growing up, is self-confidence, you know, self-belief. Because I still remember my first trip in Vietnam, seeing these banners everywhere saying, you know, tự tin, which is like, you got to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And this was you know, they were celebrating Cultural Day leading up to Lunar New Year. And a lot of it was like, you got to believe in yourself, you got to believe in the community. You know, a lot of it was just being channeled through it. And I was thinking, yeah, like that's a core belief for me as well. You got to back yourself to go and make a difference. You got to back yourself to try this new venture, this new food, this new friendship, this new pathway. And so that's something that I'm trying to ingrain early on, so that way they're not looking for external validation to love themselves. Big part.
That's cool. That's super important, I think, like that. A lot of what we're seeking is in us, that internal compass of like, you can find the answers, you know, just asking, you know, your intuition or your gut feeling or your soul, however you want to put it. So I think that's amazing. And on the friendship note, you're saying, I think it's interesting. It's a big thing. Like, as they're in school and older, it's like, it's important who they interact with, you know, much like us as adults in the workplace. Like, you know, you're as good as your surrounding, and if you can be with people who are, you know, smarter or uplifting, or, you know, have certain
good standards, good values,
you know, you all rise together. So
yes,
I think with our kids as well, like, it's great, they can choose who they want to play with, but also, you know, we want to help encourage them as like, you know, seek out people that you can all, you know, be, you know, better off and push and, you know, grow together.
And how do you make that judgment? Like, we can't give them specific, you can give them specific examples, but you can't be so dogmatic about a thing that they cut off friends. Because I always ask my kids, like, what was the intention? You know, if they came home and they said, someone pushed me. And I always ask him, okay, I'm sorry to hear he pushed you. You know, like, what was his intention? Like, was he deliberately trying to hurt you, or was it an accident? And I say, you know, sometimes you got to judge people. And I said, at times people may say it was an accident, but they were intentional. But because he's young, I say, with your friends, I'm hoping that generally they're good-natured and they're not going to be thinking, you know, the dark arts at like 6 years old and going, you know, but you don't know what some of the upbringing these kids have had.
For sure.
But I always say to him, okay, well, think about the intention. Like, what was their reason for doing this? What was their motive for doing certain things?
It's good to instill some street smarts into our kids.
Man, we got to be early. I don't want him to be like you know, like a lamb dealing with bloody wolves every day, thinking the world is just fantastic and everyone is going to give you, you know, treats and rewards.
Yeah.
And certainly I like to think the best of people. I'm an optimist. But I have to say, Tim, there are times when people don't have your best, you know, intentions at heart, and you've got to be able to understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way. You got to learn, and I think learning through play is essential for
That's
a
it.
kid and an adult. I think sometimes as an adult we forget
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You know what play is like. Like I'm doing a few things to like learn through play
Sweet.
and learn through struggle, because you become an adult and you know you get paid to do certain things you're good at, and you get used to just doing the things you're good at, and then you forget what it's like. Maybe you lose that bit of empathy for your kid who's learning how to ride a bike for the first time, or you know, learning a new sport, or my kid, you know, knows how to read now. And when you have your own experience, that just brings you back to earth and grounded and go, all right, I'm an adult, but I'm still capable of learning. I'm still capable of struggling and not doing things well. And maybe there are some things I'll never be able to do amazingly, but I'm further ahead than when I started.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I've been putting myself through a few of those things, and cooking was one of them.
Sweet.
Because man, it was
Cooking's
hard.
amazing, yeah.
It makes you appreciate so much more. Like, you know, when other people are cooking for you, the time and effort it takes. Now that I've made pho many times, I said to my auntie, like, how the hell did you feed 20, 30 people?
Yeah.
How did you go to the shop and buy like
All the
15
stuff.
kilos, 20 kilos of meat and bones, and then spend all day doing it, and the patience, and you know, and all of that. I'm just so much more grateful for the process, like how it gets done, not just oh, food's here, cool.
The process is like the key thing.
Yeah.
To really like appreciate it and like be immersed in it. And I think like you're saying, I think a bit of a
bird.
bird. Yeah, no, with what you're saying before, I think that's the thing where often when I see other entrepreneurs, they're like, you know, start something that you believe and care about first before thinking about making money or how it pays you. In that, obviously, we need, you know, the money aspect and financial stability to survive and stuff. But I think with what you were saying before, like often pay reinforces us to like pursue something just because, you know, it's like this good behavior thing, or like this thing that sometimes we don't even realize we're teaching our kids something to just follow something without thinking about it a bit more. And so with what you're saying with play or through struggle, I think both sides of the spectrum, it's important to do something because it's enjoyable, but also do something to stick it out through the pain of it, because you come out the other side, you know, learning something different. But just on that note, the struggle part, like what have you been jumping in or utilizing to try and practice that sort of muscle a bit?
Well, you know, certainly some of the growing this company is a big part, and the work that we're doing, because previously I was running a different company and we had team members, but with this channel, this opportunity, I've been really deliberate and trying to think about lifestyle.
Yes.
And what that means, what balance means, because I'm not like a 20 hours here, 20 hours there. I'm like, I do the work when the work's required, but I want to make sure I'm there for family, and I'm very conscious of capacity. But I'm trialing new things, and I'm saying yes to projects that are interesting to me.
Great.
And where I'm going to learn. So I'm really focused on that. But I've been learning guitar.
Sweet.
You know, I've always been interested in it, but I never had the patience.
It's a steep,
or the prioritization
like, curve,
to do it. You know, because it's repetitive, right? You got to keep doing it, and you got to keep practicing it, and you will suck for a long time. And I'm still not great, but I'm trying to put some effort into it, and it takes time, and I'm doing it for me.
Cool.
Like, I'm not doing it because someone's paying me. You know, I'm not doing it because when you were younger, a teenager, you would have done it, you know, because you're like, you think he's going to get you the girls, or he's going to get you the date. Like, I'm doing this because I'm interested in it. I like the expression. I like learning. And, you know, it's hard to say. I don't want to say I love the struggle, but I know it's part of it. And you got to go through that. But the whole entrepreneurship aspect, I'm not even, like, I'm thinking about my own journey, but I also think about my kids and I'm not talking to them about pursuing something because it's going to lead to a good job. Like I think about some of the comments that were made when we were young, and it's like, oh, you should learn that skill because it'll pay you well. And it always came back to like, it'll pay you well. Like, I still remember when I quit my job that I was doing really well in and I was growing because I wanted to pursue something different. My mom was like, what are you doing? You're crazy to leave a safe job. And at the time, I didn't think about it from her perspective. I was just thinking, no, this is the right thing for me. But from her perspective, it is a crazy thing to do. And so when I'm thinking about the kids now and what we're playing and what they're pursuing, I'm not even dangling the carrot. I'm not even mentioning, oh, you should keep doing this because it's a job that will pay really well, or you know, you'll get easily employed. Like I'm not even putting into the mix. I don't want to bring it up. They're too young for it. I don't want to condition them to think they're doing everything to then get a job, means to an end. And maybe, you know, we're talking about it from a place of privilege now, being educated, you know, being employed. Maybe if my upbringing was different and circumstances were different, that would be different. But given the state that we're in now, I'm like, I just want them to learn new skills, pursue interests, understand what challenge is, understand what winning is. I always say to my kids, if you want to win, you've got to be prepared to lose.
For sure.
You know, and I say that in Vietnamese, and maybe it comes a bit harsher. But
Even better,
you've got to be willing, because if you're not willing to give it a shot and be confronted with all the emotions and the baggage that comes with losing, or all of that, however you want to see it, then you're never going to win.
Yeah, that's the beauty of life, though. You know, that is what we're here for. We're trying to, you know, small wins, big wins, but we're all, you know, moving towards something. If we're not moving, then it's just boring, or there's kind of no point.
I agree. And I think with the work thing that you talked about earlier, like it's not just money. I always, like particularly with this one, this new venture, I'm really thinking about impact. And, you know, I took some time off after exiting my last role, and I really thought about like, how do I want to influence, how do I want to have an impact on work? What do I enjoy doing? You know, what are the aspects that I enjoy doing? And some aspects that I want to do, not necessarily enjoy, but I know it's part of it and it's part of the learning process. And so in the end, I didn't take up another role with another company or different companies. I went through, I want to do leadership training because I want to impact people not only in the business side of things, but also in not-for-profits and you know, the community space. And then I want to keep doing my business consulting, strategic consulting, because I want to be involved in different projects that allow me to learn, allow me to interact with new problems and finding solutions to that, but also learning from good people. And so they were the key sort of criteria for me to say, okay, what is it that I want to work on? And then underpinning all of that is flexibility and having the agency to decide what I want to do and how I want to spend my time, and being available and present for my kids and my family.
That's cool, man.
It took a bit of time. It took a bit of time to get to that point. Like I was cooking, maybe this is why I was cooking pho and all these other things, because I needed to actually stew on it and think about and be really deliberate around my next steps. Because I could have easily jumped into another role, but I needed that break. I needed that perspective.
Yes.
And some really good friends said, Khai, don't feel rushed to jump into something else. They said, fuck what everyone else says. Fuck what people are saying. Oh, but you need to jump into this job, or you should leverage that, or what about your next house, or whatever. Forget about all that noise. Just take some time away, get some perspective, be bored, you know, let your thoughts sort of enter, let them develop, and see where it takes you.
That's cool, man. Yeah. I think it takes a lot of courage to take time out to do that, so you can be really clear on things that matter for you. And then, you know, you hit that next part of your life going, all right, this is my like roadmap. Often people say, you know, your North Star. And, and I was going to say, like, you know, I agree with you. Like, you know, you're saying sometimes we're privileged getting to make these choices, you know, for the place we're at now. But I think another way is like, not just privilege, like it's high and mighty, but I think we appreciate the journey we've been on, because I think we've been through the struggle of our life. Like, it's not like we've been, you know, fed on a silver spoon this whole time. It's more, we've had so many people in our life sacrifice in different ways to afford us this chance now to make a difference. And I think it's, for me, it's almost like, you know, I owe it to myself and to others who have given me this chance to like want to make something more of it, as opposed to just following suit with, you know,
Yeah.
not, I guess, thinking
Yeah.
for myself, and like the whole sort of matrix example, that kind of.
I think back to what you're talking about, quality, and I really think about quality experiences, quality time, and how do you do that when you are so busy doing other things? Yeah, I often I ask myself, am I a human being or human doing?
Yeah.
Am I just doing things constantly and not being present, not spending time? Like if I want to spend time with my mum and my extended family, how can I do that if I'm always working?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the choices that we make now, it's going to influence it. Like life is short.
The ripple effect.
We're getting to a stage where we're a bit older, and friends, family members are leaving us.
Yeah.
And sometimes unexpectedly, sometimes earlier than you think. And then that's just a reminder that like life is fragile, life is short, and you should do the things that you enjoy and you feel is right for you. I don't want to regret. I don't want to, be older and go, I wish I spent more time. I want to spend the time now. So that's what I'm doing, because
Love that.
that's my approach.
Just for us to finish up, like I know we've probably touched on it a lot and in different ways, but just to ask it, what's something you're really wanting to impart for your kids from you, as dad?
Yeah.
Instilling wisdoms or like core values, attributes?
Well, definitely, what I said earlier around identity, having a strong sense of self, having that self-belief and self-confidence, definitely. Probably the other part is, life should be fun.
Yeah.
Life should be filled with play and learning. So I want to keep trying new experiences, even if that puts me in a degree of discomfort. But I'm prepared to do that because I want the kids to see that side of life, that life is not always serious and doesn't need to be always serious. I mean, they're kids now, but if they always, I think they see us more serious than not. So I'm just daily reminder, like inject play.
Have you played any guitar for your kids to hear?
I have.
What's the feedback?
I have. It's still sucky.
What do they say to you?
They say it's all right, but they've learned. They've tried to play and strum as well. They haven't been as diligent as I would like them to be, but sometimes their hands can't quite.
So
reach
learning
it.
together a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's how I started the guitar. I was learning with Frankie.
Okay.
And he was really into it, and he was playing, and he still tries to sing, and that's fun. So, yeah, we just try to do it, and I need to remind myself as well, particularly when I'm lower energy because of whatever's happened during the day, that the kids just want to play, but man, it's a struggle sometimes. It's they want to play. It's just before bedtime, and you're like, oh my god, I need to calm things down, and I'm low on reserves, and I still got to do this and that. You just got to find the right context and play early in the day. So, yeah, that's probably the main thing. Self-belief, self-confidence, having strong sense of self, and play wherever you can, at school, at work. It doesn't need to stop when you become an adult.
100%.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest reminder for us as adults because kids will naturally play.
Yeah.
But as adults, it's like we need to like schedule it in, block it in. So
loosen up. I know I'm probably more serious than I'll probably be considered as serious, and because of my line of work and the things that I've done, I am. But I'm also playful at heart, and I just got to show up more with that.
That's cool. No, thanks, Khai. Thanks for coming out on this.
That's
in
cool, man.
my own way, I think these bushwalks is a bit of play.
Yeah.
Just to like have conversation and like bounce around and ideas, and so I appreciate the time, and I'm feeling positive and hopeful for our kids. I think with the sort of ideas we've been discussing. Yeah. I'm like, it'll be cool to see how they venture and carve out their space in the world.
I mean, we've known each other for a while, right? We've known each other since we were teenagers, when we were breaking. So this is like a very different chapter, and we were in touch when we were in our 20s, working on different things, and now we're in our 30s doing different things. So it's
the chapters of life.
Yeah, man, it's good.
That's it. There was b-boy stuff back in the day.
Yeah. We don't need to go back to that. It was fun. But it's so different now. Can't do those things.
No, sweet. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Oh, before we'll have this when we're walking back.
Yeah.
But
Thank
I
you.
always like to share
Oh, nice.
our little bushwalk snack. So
Nice.
yeah, cheers.